Family comes first, Emma. My mother's voice had always carried warmth, but that night it sliced straight through me, cold, clinical, merciless. I stood in the kitchen staring at my bank statement, the numbers screaming betrayal in plain black text. My college fund, the one I had been building since I was 14, emptied. $48,000 gone like smoke, and not even with a warning, not even a text. My father tried to soften the blow, though he didn't dare look me in the eye. He could go to jail, Emma. The people he owes money to, they're dangerous. Dangerous. That was generous. The men my 25-year-old golden boy brother owed money to were only dangerous, if you counted casinos and online betting platforms. His gambling debts, I said, my laugh sharp and a little unhinged, the ones he got while studying at Yale. I shoved my phone into their line of sight. The transfer details gleamed on the screen like a knife. 8 years of savings, every shift, every scraped-together scholarship dollar, drained in a single transaction. Kevin made a mistake, Mom said, reaching for me like I was a stray cat they'd startled. But he's family. Family, the word suddenly tasted rotten. My phone buzzed, a text from Kevin. Thanks for the help, sis. Promise I'll pay you back. Dinner on me when I'm back in town. I showed it to my parents. You didn't even tell him the money wasn't mine to give, did you? Their silence was the confession. I left before I said something I couldn't come back from. The banker who broke the illusion. Pioneer Bank smelled like polished wood and lemon sanitizer, too clean for the filth my life had become in the last 24 hours. Mrs. Martinez, the branch manager who'd watched me go from braces to graduation gowns, pulled me into her office with the kind of urgency you reserve for disasters. Emma, sweetheart, I tried calling you. Calling me for a transfer my parents apparently made with no hesitation. She spun her monitor toward me. There were irregularities, look. There were smaller withdrawals too, 20 here, 50 there, all just low enough to avoid attention. But the real punch came next. That account your money went to, she said quietly, it's not your brother. The words vibrated in the air before my brain fully embraced them. It belongs to a private LLC in the Cayman Islands. Something cold unfurled in my stomach. Mrs. Martinez, what are you saying? Her voice dropped to a whisper, like the walls themselves needed protection. I've been in banking 20 years. I know money laundering when I see it. The room tilted slightly. I had walked in wanting to close an account. I was leaving with the first hint that my parents, my picture-perfect suburban parents, were playing a game way bigger than gambling debts. She slid a business card across her desk. You need to talk to the FBI, quietly. Quietly. A word that settled on my shoulders like an unwelcome destiny. The dinner that changed everything. The next evening, Dad called me home for a family dinner. I could almost hear the lie humming beneath his voice. Kevin arrived an hour late, wearing a designer watch worth more than my semester's textbooks. He hugged me like he was accepting an award. My favorite sister, he boomed, my lifesaver. I smiled barely. If only he knew the FBI recorder in my purse was blinking quietly with every word he said. Over lasagna, the sacred Kevin's home dish, Mom gushed about us being together again, while Dad tapped constantly on his phone, as if running a second family from under the table. Emma, been quiet, Kevin observed, still upset. I didn't get a chance to speak. Speaking of helping, Mom said, her eyes twinkling with a dangerous kind of pride. Your father and I were thinking, maybe Emma can help manage your new business ventures. The fork nearly slipped from my hand. Actually, I said carefully, I have medical school. We've talked to investors, Dad cut in. They could help with your tuition, in exchange for some consulting. Consulting. The word curdled in my mind. Agent Cooper had warned me earlier that day. They'll try to pull you deeper, try to make you complicit, don't let them, but keep playing along, we're close. I forced a nod that bordered on nausea. The truth unmasked. Later in the backyard, I stared at their silhouettes through the kitchen window. They weren't just talking, they were strategizing, plotting. My phone buzzed with a message from Mrs. Martinez. Maury transfers today, bigger ones, they're escalating. Then Kevin slipped outside. Dad's investors, they're interested in you. he said, voice dropping into a tone he rarely used. Your clean record, your background, it's valuable. Valuable for what? He shrugged. Let's just say there are ways to make money faster than slaving through med school. It clicked then. The gambling addict persona. The endless bailouts. The failed businesses. Kevin wasn't the sheep. He was the smokescreen. I'll think about it, I lied. His grin stretched wide, relief dripping off him. That's my sister. The offer that sealed their fate. The next morning, Dad laid out the proposal with the calm confidence of a man discussing tax returns, not felonies. We'll set up your medical practice once you're licensed, he said casually. Process some transactions, nothing big, clean money in, clean money out. A folder slid across the table like a verdict waiting for a signature. Inside were documents for a shell corporation. Registered in my name. They had been planning this for months, maybe years. What about my college fund? I asked. Kevin snorted. Oh, come on, Em, that was a test, you passed. Most people would have blown up, but you understood family. No. What I understood was the violence of betrayal. You were always the responsible one, Mom added, as if that was praise instead of a weapon. You know how to keep things quiet. The recorder in my purse captured every syllable. My phone buzzed with a message from Agent Cooper. We have enough, signal when you're ready. I looked at my family, their sharp edges suddenly clear, their masks finally cracked open. What if I say no? Silence. Dad leaned back, eyes flat and cold. No isn't an option, you're already involved. Threat. From my father. My father. Something in me snapped. You used me, I said, my voice trembling with 8 years of swallowed obedience. You stole from me, manipulated me, and now you're threatening me to commit crimes. Kevin blocked the doorway with a lazy smirk. Stop being dramatic, this is business. I lifted my phone. No, this is over. I hit send. The storm that followed. The front door crashed open. Black-clad agents flooded the house like a tidal wave of justice. Commands echoed through the hallway. My father tried to wipe his phone. Kevin tried to run. My mother's face went blank, as though she had always been waiting for the curtain to fall. As Agent Cooper led them out in cuffs, my father looked back, not with anger but with disbelief. Why, Emma, we're your family. Family. The word felt different now. Family doesn't exploit each other, I said. You taught me that, just not the way you meant to. Aftermath of truth. Everything after that felt like living inside a documentary about a girl who survived her own origin story. Mrs. Martinez helped me rebuild my accounts under federal protection. The FBI unraveled the financial spiderweb my parents had woven, stretched across offshore accounts, shell corporations, and years of grooming me as their perfect front. Medical school started in the fall. I walked onto campus with a white coat on my shoulders and a story behind my eyes no one could guess. Sometimes I wonder if my classmates can see it, the quiet heaviness, the experience of choosing justice over blood. Kevin got 5 years. My parents got longer. Mom writes letters where she forgives me, as if the sins belong to me and not the empire they built on deceit. Dad's letter came last week. Inside was a newspaper clipping from my white coat ceremony. On the margin of the article, in handwriting I hadn't seen since he wrote my name on my first day of school lunchbox, he'd scribbled, "You were stronger." Maybe that was his version of confession. Or maybe it was an acknowledgement that the daughter he tried to use as a shield became the one thing that could bring his kingdom down. I keep that clipping in my desk drawer, not as a trophy, not as a wound, but as a compass. It reminds me of the truth I earned through fire. Sometimes the hardest choices don't break you. They rebuild you. And sometimes choosing yourself is the most heroic act of all.